Welcome to the Jon Justice Show. Thank you for checking out another episode. I want to talk about a story that I had slated for my radio show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. Central Time, on the iHeartRadio app. I didn't get a chance to get to it. So let me talk about it today, because it's significant relating to the continued, surprise on my part of how quickly things have been turning in the right direction in the wake of Trump's victory going back over 2 weeks now. Again, the story kind of flew under the radar, but HBO stands by J.K. Rowling despite pressure to denounce her transgender comments. I dare say that prior to the election, this wouldn't have happened. As the debate between trans activists and more mainstream Americans rages on, HBO reps have released a statement on the network's decision to keep Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling involved in upcoming projects, despite her being labeled as a trans exclusionary radical feminist or a TERF by the left. The British-born author holds mostly liberal views, but draws the line at affirming trans-identifying men as women, a position that has inspired a heap of backlash and boycotts over the past several years. Rowling has stood firm, repeatedly reiterating her stance. It seems as if she was popping up in the news like at least once a month. Leftist Harry Potter fans and several stars from the film franchise have denounced Rowling for her beliefs. However, HBO issued a statement to Variety calling her contribution to the work, which spans more than 20 years, invaluable, and reinforced its commitment to collaborate with her as it moves forward to adapt Rowling's book series into a TV show. We are proud to once again tell the story of Harry Potter, the heartwarming books that speak to power, friendship, resolve, and acceptance. The power of friendship. J.K. Rowling has a right to express her personal views. We will remain focused on the development of the new series, which will only benefit from her involvement. The HBO chief, Casey Bloys, had a similar take during a press event on November 12th. Variety noted, saying that Rowling was very, very involved in the process, selecting a writer and director, and that her stance on transgender issues haven't affected the casting or hiring of the writers and productions staff for the Harry Potter series, which is slated to be released on HBO in 2026. Now, to the question of them doing a Harry Potter series, I think it makes all the sense in the world. You've got an abundance of material within those books that was not covered in the films of which I absolutely love, as does my family. I don't love them nearly as much as my 17-year-old son and my wife, but I'm certainly glad to hear that J.K. Rowling is being a part of this project, especially given her views. But it speaks to how quickly things have already shifted in the right direction. As I said on a previous episode, talking about how I firmly believe that this election is going to transform Hollywood, I'm going to use this as an example. There are some rumors going around right now that my beloved Star Wars may be going through a similar sort of self-reflection in the wake of not being able to put a movie on the big screen since 2019's The Rise of Skywalker. I mean, we're going to have the Mandalorian and Grogu film coming out sometime in May of 2026, and there was supposed to be a Rey Skywalker-centered Star Wars film placed just after, 15 years after, Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. That was slated for December of 2027, and it's been taken off the schedule. And the rumor is now that all these other films that they may have been working on might be shoved off to the side. My view and my expectation is they may be going through something similar right now. They've seen which way the country wants to go, and therein lies the difference. And when you know that the majority of individuals, and especially when it comes to the almighty dollar, don't like what's happened over the course of the past 4 years, so much so that they gave the opposition all the power, you're only smart to go and shift. I said this on my show. I said this on a previous show. We're going back. We're going back to embracing traditional values, common sense, rational storytelling. Listen, to each their own. There should be content out there for everybody. But you and I both know what's happened over the course of the past 4 years. and the industry thinking that the way that politics was going and that the way society outside of pop culture was going was the popular view. And it simply isn't the case. As I said in a previous video, it's why Top Gun Maverick made all the money that it made, because that was at its core a traditional film that wasn't injected with any sort of messaging. Even recently, you have auto manufacturer Jaguar putting out this basically pro-transgender, over-the-top commercial for their Jaguar automobiles, of all things. And it was met with just resounding criticism and mockery because it has no representation on the automobiles that they're trying to sell to the audience that they're attempting to cater to. And it just simply didn't go and make any sense. Now, if that's the route that Jaguar wants to go, Jaguar can go that route. I'll have you know, though, that Jaguar stock plummeted in the wake of the backlash to that ad because it was horrible. A recent interview with the individual who was in charge of the marketing, it's pretty clear that that person was hired for DEI reasons, not because they were actually good for the job. And it's one of the things that I'm most excited about is the potential of a return to meritocracy in our society, and especially when it comes to pop culture. The whole reason why I do this show here on YouTube and on the podcast platforms, apart from my weekly radio show, why I do my Star Wars and Depeche Mode podcast, is because, I love entertainment. I love movies. I love music. Life is about way more than politics. If I wasn't a political conservative news talk show host, I wonder how much politics I would end up consuming, or when I retire. I'm sure I'll stay involved because I do find it interesting. I wouldn't be able to do what I do and have success at it if I didn't. But I love movies and I love storytelling. I mean, to the point where I wrote my own book series because there weren't enough books out there that I found relatable, because most of those books, those science fiction books, were written by liberals who were doing the same thing that Hollywood was doing and injecting a whole bunch of garbage messaging into their stories that ruined the essence of the storytelling. It's why so many people have gotten frustrated over what's happened with Star Wars. Some of the stuff I've liked, but I also understand, and I'm easily entertained, but I also understand why people were so and have been so frustrated. They want to see their, tales of good and evil, good versus evil, and good being triumphant over evil. And this, I don't know, how do I want to go and phrase it? This sort of overkill relating to diversity, where it just goes beyond ridiculous and it's completely unrelatable and unrealistic. Listen, I'm really extrapolating a ton from this HBO story, but I was surprised when I saw this because that was the November 12th meeting. And I'm sure behind the scenes, this has all been, brewing for a while. I think that a lot of these corporations and the content creators knew that what they were doing in making their films just simply wasn't working. I mean, look at the disaster of the animated films for Pixar and Disney. Pixar used to be this pinnacle. Disney used to be this pinnacle in terms of entertainment and storytelling. And you have companies now that have gone and surpassed them in terms of trusting the content made for young people, because they did a whole bunch of DEI, ESG hires, injected a whole bunch of woke garbage into the storytelling, and it ruined it. Kids don't need to be exposed to that. Leave it to the families. Leave it to the parents to go and teach their kids about sexuality and those issues. We don't need to have it in our cartoons. You teach them how to treat each other with respect, right? You teach them the basics, or you just have the messaging be the basics. But Disney had failed and has been failing, and we have yet to see whether or not they're going to course correct. But if they still want to stay on top, they're going to have to. They're going to have to look at situations like HBO, where, again, I'm sure that they were talking with JK Rowling, but it wasn't until this election did their suspicions get confirmed. Again, with the left losing the presidency, the national popular vote, Congress, and, in my opinion, the court of public opinion. So consider this video and podcast, this episode, a part 2 to what I said about how the election is going to be changing Hollywood, and this is your first example. Plus, you got a lot of people in Hollywood that are either going into therapy, like Rob Reiner, who said that he's checking into therapy in the wake of the election and going over to what he thought was going to be a bastion of liberal commentary on the Blue Sky social media app, only to find that he found the same people that he despises over there. So now he's checked himself in for therapy. You've got Ellen DeGeneres and her wife, Portia de Rossi, heading over and moving to England to get out of the country. Good on them. I'm glad they can afford to do so. And I think you're going to see an exodus and a firing of a lot of people in Hollywood that probably shouldn't have never had jobs in the first place. And listen, I'm here for it. We had a conversation on the show this week talking about the pendulum swinging, how it swings far to the left, and then, right now we're seeing it swing far to the right. I had a friend of the show who called in and made a comment that the goal should be to get us back to the middle when it comes to the country, right? And I pushed back on that a little bit, and he was cool with it, but I pushed back on that a little bit and said, no, that shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be in my opinion, the goal should be for conservatives and Republicans to swing as far right as possible. And then we'll see where we end up. Because don't think for a second that when the left has power, because we saw it over the course of the past 3.5+ years, they swung as far left as they possibly could. And thankfully, thank the good Lord Almighty, the country went and rejected it. So no, I don't have a goal to get us back to the center. I think we'll probably end up there because we still are a center-right country. But I think the goal should be, now that the Republicans have all the power, no, you swing as far to the right as you can, and then we'll see how this whole thing shakes out. Hey, thanks for watching and listening to another episode. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can leave a comment here. Subscribe to the podcast on whatever podcast platform that you are listening to this on. You can email me, talkshownerd@gmail.com, talkshownerd@gmail.com. And again, if you do like science fiction and you want to support my show, I hope you'll take a moment and head on over to Amazon.com and take a look at my Embark science fiction series. You can see the book and the poster here behind me. Follow Taft and Katha, two starfighter pilots, on an adventure across the galaxy after Earth faces an industrial apocalypse, and they fight for humanity's future and their own among the stars. It's a space opera series inspired by Star Wars. I wrote it for adults, but it's great for an age appropriate for kids 11 plus. There are 7 books in all in the series, available in ebook, Kindle Unlimited, paperback, hardcover, and audiobook at Amazon.com. So I hope you take a moment and head on over to Amazon.com and check out the book series. They make fantastic gifts. I also have paperbacks and hardcovers versions here at home. So if you're interested in purchasing them directly from me at a discounted price, you just got to email me, talkshownerd@gmail.com, and I'll even autograph them for free. Thank you so much for watching. I hope wherever you are that you're happy, you're healthy, and you're safe. God bless, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Bye.